bro. Shut up. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I mean, we just started the show and I said, hey, I'm going to start the show. And then Q starts fucking freestyling before we even play the intro. I'm like, God damn. Like I said, I'm starting the show. That kind of means shut the fuck up. We just keep talking.
I said one line. I felt like it's all like you dropped something. So I was like, damn,
I smacked the desk because you kept talking after I said I'm gonna go live.
I didn't even say anything. Hold on, let me check my mic because I was like, I didn't even say anything before that. I was sitting here,
bro. You start grumbling, start talking to yourself. I'm like, okay, I guess we're not starting.
That was the mic. It was so. I was like, I didn't say anything. All I heard was boom, and I was like, what was that?
We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. Allegedly, to some people, we were hiding because the Buckeyes won to Nebraska, or your boy worked 20 hours on Friday and had to be up at 6 a.m. for his client on Monday. So, yeah, I wasn't hiding because of a Nebraska performance. Your boy does have a job. So if we get those super chats up, maybe I can quit my job. But until then, that pays my bills. Q, are you hiding?
We hide during wins now.
I guess it has gone so bad this season that we're hiding after wins.
Well, I'll definitely hide after that natty win. Man, just a long weekend. Had a good week last week. Quality weekend this weekend. I was just at that point in the season where I've been waking up like 4:30 for like almost 3 months now. So if I can get some extra sleep, I love y'all, but I will try. Definitely try to take what I can get. So
absolutely no show on Sunday, no show on Monday. Plenty of time to reflect on this past loss. See, that's what I'm saying. They got us convinced. We lost to Nebraska. So, this past win over Nebraska, but we do have a few national notes to get to before we jump into the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yes, let me handle that right. And we see what we got today. Well, first of all, before we do that, everybody, see y'all in here. Give the first shout out because I started that and I've been bad at it. Charles Green was the first one in here, just beat Gemo. So he was in here. Shout out to member Charles Green. Gemo gets no shout out, thank God, because Charles Green beat him. So, but they're in here. If you're in here, go ahead and like that video. If you were on Twitter, go ahead and like and retweet and do all that stuff. And then audio is mostly caught up. I'll get it back going today. I think one show behind, but not too bad for the audio. And glad to see y'all again. Happy Tuesday. All right, let's start with this. So, Ron, I don't know who you paid off, but you accurately predicted the Michigan State fight. So my first question is, how did you know?
Because they are the most punchable faces in all of college football. That's why. Like, how could you not want to punch Michigan? Like, I knew it was coming. And, like, I think Michigan State had themselves convinced that they could win this game. And I knew whoever lost was going to want to fight. And you saw, and surprisingly, it wasn't even the team that lost that started to fight. The woe is me victims of Michigan, they're out there fucking headbutting people and then mad when they get beat up. It's constantly they're throwing stones and hiding their hands like, oh, they cheat. Then they're like, oh, why is the NCAA picking on us? Oh, they start the fight in the tunnel. Oh, why are they beating us up? Oh, they headbutt someone in the face. Why are they stomping my fucking mans out? Like, at some point, it's like, do you have to take accountability when you throw stones?
That is facts. Yeah, well, Michigan escapes with a win. Unfortunately, I don't know how Loveland was calling them little brother. At the end of the game, they either had the same record, so I guess equal sibling, equal brother. But we will talk about that a little later. But yeah, we got that. Also want to talk a little Colorado. So Ron Deion and his team has absolutely been balling this season, according to expectations. They now set at 6-2. They're bowl eligible. Got two things for that. The first one I want to ask. So we talked about Colorado. Might be the most exciting team to watch in college football week to week. Every game's been either close or exciting somehow, some way. So I want to ask you, based on your expectation of Colorado before the season, what grade would you give Deion this season?
I give him an A+. And if you're if I'm UQ, I'm watching every Colorado game, trying to learn the alma mater, trying to learn the fight song, because who knows, your boy Prime and Mike Norvell could be fucking swapping jobs at the end of the season. We'll trade you Prime, give us Mike Norvell. I know you're firing him anyways. But no, I'm super excited with what Prime has been able to do. It's been amazing. People talked about, it's all glitz and glam. It's all a big smoke show out there. It's all about the sideline antics and the performances in the locker room after the game. And look at them now. They're what, 5-2, 6-2 at this point?
Yeah, 6-2. They're bowl
6-2. 6-2 at this point. Bowl eligible after 2 years ago. They were 1-11. I feel like Prime has already surpassed. If you told anyone that Prime would have this team bowl eligible within 2 seasons, they'd have laughed at you like you were crazy. And look what he's able to do. In the first year, he's got them 4 times the amount of wins that they had in season 1. This year, it's 6 times. If people are looking around and not acknowledging what Prime has been able to do, yeah, he has Travis Hunter. Yeah, he has Shador. But like people said, Prime goes out there and has his guys play hard every game, whether it's a game that they're expected to get blown out in or a game that it's supposed to be a rivalry. They play every game the same, and they go out with that energy and that fight. And the fact that Prime has been able to convince as many kids as he's been able to convince to go live in cold Boulder, Colorado, to move out there in a program that doesn't have a crazy rich history and just believe in Prime and the coaching staff that he was able to put together. You see the push that the defensive line's been able to get since they added Warren Sapp to the staff. He's doing great things out there, and I can't say enough good things about what Prime has been able to accomplish, and I feel like a lot of the media is hesitant to give him his flowers or give him his credit for what he's been done because they were so loud in the first place about how it wasn't going to succeed. And they do the thing in the media where instead of admitting that you're wrong or acknowledging the things that you lied about, they just act like it never happened and just don't even talk about it, just like completely ignore it. At least I come on here and tell you, lied about Cam Ward. Might have lied about my Buckeyes, but we'll get to that later.
Definitely will do. I gotta give Prime his credit. Definitely, there was a lot of drama both off seasons. Him not recruiting the players he brought in. Is Travis Hunter, wasting his time in Colorado? Most definitely, he's become one of the best players, if not the best player in college football. Most definitely, and currently leads the Heisman race. We'll touch on in a minute. Shador is playing like a top 5 pick. I mean, he's absolutely balling out. And this team 6-2 with still plenty of games left, a chance to make a run at the playoffs. We'll see if they can win out and do that. But most certainly, definitely, I give him a B+ right now. We'll see how he finishes up. But yeah, I don't know if you can ask for much better. But I got another quote from a guy named Stephen A. Smith. You might have heard of him. He's the Ron James of ESPN. No. Wrong opinion loud. The Ron James of ESPN, if you don't know who he is. But he believes, and you just talked about it, Deion deserves a Florida State, Texas A&M, or Alabama job. After what you've seen so far, maybe not the best on the recruiting trail, but the way he's flipped his team, do you think Deion could go and compete at one of the top schools in the nation? Or you say, I don't know, we'll see? How confident are you? 1 to 5.
I'm very confident. I mean, he's convincing young kids to spend some of the best years of their life in cold Colorado. Like, if he has Florida or a talent-rich state to pull from, like Deion's doing this a lot with the portal and not doing a ton of recruiting. Like, if he has a place that has that, as we say, the Block O recruits itself, if he goes to a school that recruits itself on top of the Prime effect, on top of the brand logo, on top of the talent pull around him, like, it's not like Prime can hit a high school game in Colorado and just find a 5-star. In Florida, he could drive to 5 stars every week. In Texas, he could drive to 5 stars every week. So I think if he gets an opportunity in one of these bigger brands in college football, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Prime at Florida State. I think that's just like a match made in heaven, and for the drama of college football, would definitely love to see that. But I think he would do well. I mean, he doesn't recruit Colorado really at all. So without a high school pipeline, still being able to flip this roster straight through the portal.
Well, hey, don't forget they tried to flip that one kid from Colorado State for $600,000, and he said no.
Yeah, see, colleges, let alone the high schools. So, so it's definitely tough there, but I think he would do a great job. Okay, I want to recap the weekend scores real quick, and we'll hop right into the AP poll that we have. So, Oregon beat Illinois 38-9. They still hold steady. Alabama, who we were a little concerned about more so next week than this week, said not so fast, my friend. Started quarterbacks out 34-0 against Missouri. Texas survives Vanderbilt 27-24. I don't know what the spread was, but I'm pretty sure I lost that bet. That one ended well. Penn State survives, and then Miami, I will give them their credit. 36-14 over Florida State, even though they still don't have a pulse. Miami still has not played a team yet that probably will be bowl eligible and it's still undefeated. So I will give them their
No. You don't get to skate. You don't get to get any bars off on Miami after they dismantle your man's Mike Norvell. Let's talk about it. I see Gemo in the chat. Stand on your words. Your man's just played his rival, and you're trying to gloss over it. I'm sitting here looking down, getting the AP graphic ready, and I'm like, oh, no, he's not going to skate on that. Talk. What happened? What happened to your mans? What happened to Florida State? Talk about Gemo. If you need the link and you want to talk to Q about Florida State, I will hit you. I'll hit your DMs.
Wasn't DJ you out? That's what happened, man. Without your preseason starting quarterback, it's tough sledding. It happens to the best of us. Don't worry. They'll Florida State will rally. We'll see them in the ACC championship.
Absolutely. Before we dive into that real quick, I do want to get some housekeeping before we get these graphics on the screen. A big shout out to Posh, already retweeted the show. A good morning in the chat. So shout out to Posh this morning. I also wanted to shout out our guy Ghost Celts on Twitter, said that he is tuning in from Germany. So a big shout out to you. Appreciate you tuning in worldwide. And then, of course, our guy Mike Green, thanks for the 5. Fellas, I got blocked on Scoop Sports for voicing my frustrations in the chat. I keep my money with my niggas where I can vent about my team. It is a safe space if you want to come here and the opposite of Pump Sunshine, I guess.
Hey,
but
it's just, me out. You can super chat that. I will allow it.
Absolutely. It's just so funny because last week everyone said that the past 2 weeks after Oregon, everyone said we're overreacting, we're doomsday, we're making too much out of a 1-point loss. And I feel like we saw a lot of the things that Buckeye fans were voicing concerns about the past 2 weeks make an appearance this past week. I'm going to get Gemo a link to the show here so we can talk about that Miami-Florida State game real quick. But before we get to Gemo, I want to get to this AP poll. Thoughts here, Q?
Yeah. So, I mean, that Penn State matchup now still is a week 1. I mean, I would agree. Oregon, Georgia, probably at the top, especially the way they're playing. Miami's inflated, of course, but, they're undefeated. I like where the AP poll is right now. Notre Dame, we talked about them. We talked about maybe Navy plus 13 points. They said, yeah, your thoughts. Went out, absolutely demolished them. So they are really making a bid to be in the playoffs here. We will see if they're able to do that. But, I mean, so far, the AP poll looks good. Big Ten still running the top 5 with 3 teams. Definitely. So I like where everyone's at. I mean, it's going to be these next few weeks. We go to Penn State, a lot of big-time games. Can Miami survive? Who's going to win the SEC? Who's going to finish in the top? It's tough bidding. So this is the fun part of the season where all those cupcake games are out the way, and really every game matters from here on out.
Yeah, man, it feels like we're getting playoff games already in October, and a lot of people talked, oh, man, the 12-team playoff is going to make the regular season meaningless. Every team can – I don't know how meaningless these games are. It feels like these games have a lot more implications now, especially with these conferences with a lot tougher matchups. You have Texas in the SEC. You have Oregon in the Big Ten, these powers that are able to shake up the two major conferences, and it's making a lot of these games feel like bowl games in October. Are you surprised with the gravity that the 12-team playoff has added to some of these top 25 matchups as early as October?
Well, I mean, I gotta give college football its credit. A lot of these teams have really raised their level. I mean, Oregon, last season we got beat twice by Washington. We thought they were a good team, and then it was like when it was time to show up, they didn't. I mean, they beat Ohio State at home, and they've been absolutely balling this season in a better conference. I mean, Georgia is Georgia. Penn State remains undefeated. They usually have that loss in there somewhere, but they said no. You're gonna get your top 5 matchup in Happy Valley. Miami finally. The beats games they're supposed to win. They're in the top 5. I mean, you got Texas, Tennessee, Texas A&M right there. I mean, you would think if it was only a 4-team playoff, how the heck would you survive the Big Ten with 3 top 5 teams? If you get in, now you actually have a chance to all make it in. So, and then you got Indiana in there, Alabama, go to LSU. We'll see if they survive that. So, I mean, a lot of these games matter. I think college football itself has raised it, and it's kind of starting to balance out. I mean, we talked about it for years. Will the portal help, balance out these teams? How will NIL do? Will it just be, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State? Well, no. These teams have started to raise their level. I mean, we got teams not in the Power 5 getting a lot of attention. So I think college football has just overall had a much better season, maybe in the last couple of years, as far as who can really make noise.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. You look at the top 4. If it was still a 14 playoff, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, fuck it, cancel the playoff and just give the natty to the Big Ten champion. Like it feels like we have a new power conference. No.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana raising up their game. I mean, they're in there. Obviously, Illinois has played good ball. Like a lot of teams around the big, I mean, even teams that aren't ranked. I mean, Washington has played, good ball this season. Like a lot of teams have really upped their game. So I'm super excited where it's going. And obviously, look at the teams in there you don't normally recognize. Army in the top 25, Washington State, the Pac-2 lives.
Well, I support the troops. Army's always in my top 25. I don't know about you.
Like a lot of teams you don't normally see, Boise State are right in there with a chance to see them play in a meaningful postseason game. So, I mean, I'm very happy where college football is. I mean, obviously, the top 2 conferences are still dominant. We see them all sprinkled in here. But, I mean, it's just a good year of college football and a lot of exciting games. Colorado, you don't even see them in here. But, like I said, they're the most exciting team to watch week to week, with a chance to be in the playoffs later. So I'm happy where college football is right now.
Q, I'd like you to explain something to me going on in number 18.
What's
their record?
You're holding down what, Pitt 7-0? 8-0?
What's Miami's record?
What's Miami? 7-0? No,
what conference do they play in?
They play in the ACC.
What's the difference between their record? Like, what are we doing here? One's 18 at 7-0. One's top 5 at 7-0.
I feel like Miami is getting way too much credit for the games they have played, and I keep saying it all season. I understand they've been undefeated. I will give credit as due. They've won these games, but they have survived. I mean, Florida State is a terrible team. They have survived, 3 games in a row? 2 they should have lost. And then go to Louisville, and Louisville almost walks away with that one, and they're a top 5 team. Like, if you move them to the SEC or the Big Ten, what is their record right now? If they played the same they played this season, I swear they would lose 3-4 games. So
I'm looking at Miami's big wins. A huge win at Florida week 1, I guess. Florida A&M, Ball State, USF, Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State. Who have they beat? Have they beat a top 25 team? Florida A&M ranked? I got to look in the graphic. Okay. Yeah, just a little confused there as to who Miami beat that would warrant them to be 8 spots ahead of Indiana and 13 spots against Pitt, who's in the same conference.
Man, they messed up. They should have scheduled that home against Texas A&M. Now they're both, quality teams here. We got both their home and homes, but they weren't that great. So I think we missed out on that one. But no, I mean, they haven't. But also too, I mean, nobody in the ACC outside of Pitt has really, balled out this season and stamped their way. So, I mean, you got to play who you got to play. Obviously, Clemson is going to be down the line. Pitt is in there, so we will see. But no, they haven't played anybody to this point.
I mean, you could argue that Pitt has a more difficult schedule. They had Cincinnati in week 2, played West Virginia in week 3, Youngstown State, I mean, elite Ohio school, Cal, Syracuse. Like, I'm not sure what we're doing here with Miami at 5, Indiana at 13, and Pitt at 18, but those will be things to continue to watch with the AP poll. Another thing to watch is some bracketology. I ain't liking the way this bracket looks, cute.
Is it getting worse? I was like, Ohio State took one loss, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a nice little path right there. And it's progressively got worse since then. They'd be like, damn, can we go back to last week? Yeah, man, this bracket looks pretty challenging now. I know if just like put all the Big Ten teams on one corner and let them fight it out here. But yeah, you got Oregon at 1, Georgia at 2, Clemson at 3, and BYU at 4. Again, I wish it could be more like the better, more proven teams, but I guess BYU just gets that free slate till 4. But I mean, it's a tough competition to get in this bracket. I got to get it going. We'll get the Miami Texas A&M matchup. Apparently, the home in the corner over there, so we might actually get that. But yeah, this is the 12-team playoff is going to be exciting this season. This looks like a crazy bracket. I'd be super excited to see this play out this weekend.
It feels like 5 is the spot that everybody wants. No.
Yeah, it feels like you're gonna get that team that probably doesn't deserve there, but it's like, well, you're the best non-power 5 team in there, so here you go. So when we had that 5 spot, it was what, Navy, and then what, BYU. I was like, heck, I'll see Oregon in the semis.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at this and I'm wondering, like, do the Buckeyes want? Someone asked me this a few weeks ago, and I looked at them like they had 4 heads. They said, "Are we sure the Buckeyes want the first round bye and they don't want that home game against the 12th seed?" And now I'm like, actually, give me that home game against the 12th seed. I like this idea. If the Buckeyes are playing a road game in the playoffs, be disgusting. There's no way that Indiana can end up. I don't even understand. I feel like this is just a troll graphic. I don't even understand the scenario where Indiana gets in ahead of Ohio State, but Ohio State still makes the playoffs. So in this scenario, you have Ohio State at 9, Indiana at 8, and Penn State at 7.
I don't know how that all works. I mean, even to start there, I give Gemo credit. Even bigger mystery. How is Clemson at 3 and Miami's at 6? Like,
Clemson's going to win the ACC.
Maybe
that one's easy to come up with, but this one,
yeah,
I just don't understand how Indiana and Penn State have enough good wins to get ahead of Ohio State, but Ohio State didn't lose to them.
Gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, it still gets in the playoffs. I'm like, I feel like those two make the playoffs. The Buckeyes are not.
Yeah, I don't. It's a split between he's playing it as of right now, but also predicting the future because Miami's ahead of Clemson. So if you're playing it right now, you're saying, "Oh, Clemson's going to beat them," but also too, like we're playing it right now, Ohio State's here, but you're saying, "Oh, like they'll also lose to Penn State and Indiana, but get in." So I don't understand this at all. I didn't look at it that hard, so now it's actually kind of pretty funny. But yeah, this is kind of a crazy bracket. I look at the first 4 out. You got Tennessee. We will see how they finish up. Pitt is in there, so apparently they're not good enough to make the bracket as of right now. But Indiana, Penn State, and Ohio State all are. Yeah, it's a kind of a crazy bracket we have here.
Yeah, our guy Buckeyes by 50 says, "Why is Texas at 5 and we're ranked ahead of them?" Like, I feel like they put together this graphic every week and they're just like, you know what? How can we annoy them? Oh my God, we have another guest here. No mic on, but we got Gemo here. Gemo, you're the official host of Buckeye Roast now because I got fired yesterday for missing the show. So this is actually just a transition for you guys to meet Q's new co-host, Gemo. Gemo, how you doing?
Good morning, guys. Hope all is well. I missed the show on Sunday. I missed the show on Saturday. You know, you got
welcome to the club. So did I. So we're all in this. So I'm not trying to get a copyright. So please, I'd like to know from you, Mr. Big Cap Radio, how is Miami ranked higher than Pitt?
So it's the bullshit rankings, the preseason rankings in the
Oh,
beginning.
so you agree that Pitt should be higher than Miami?
No, well, I think Pitt should be higher than where they are right now. To you speak, think about this. That AP poll started with Michigan at number 9,
True.
Florida State at number 10. So when you start your rankings like that, any wins that Miami may have because of they started the rankings with that bullshit rankings with the preseason rankings, which I think it should be do away with. The games being played, the games being played. How do you have Ohio State number 4 and have Indiana where they're at and they're number 1 in the conference? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, it does make sense. We played the number 1 team in the country. Are we talking about the conference rankings or the AP pool rankings?
You lost in your conference. Indiana has
to the number 1 team in the country right now.
If we go back to the BCS right now, you guys will be down the bottom. They would have taken into a factor. So losses doesn't matter no more with these rankings. That's not okay.
Miami finally started to win when losses stopped mattering. See, you guys can never get it right, bro. You guys are always behind the curve. First it was winning, and y'all wasn't doing that for like 20 years. Now losing's in style, and y'all can't do that right either. Like, when are y'all gonna get it right? Like, losing is in style these days. Like, hey, after Michigan went undefeated, everybody said we off that. like Jay-Z said, we off that, bro. We're wearing button-ups and jeans now. we ain't wearing throwback jerseys.
But that's the funny thing about it. It's like losing's in style now. Like, you can lose and still be, and nothing happens. That's not okay. Indiana is number 1 in the Big Ten. How are they not ahead of Ohio State? Make it make sense.
There would be some power rankings you'd have to say in here, definitely with some of this moving and shuffling. I do agree. There's some teams here you're like, why are they way down there? So,
but
go ahead.
You can always say yes, Indiana's should be ahead of Ohio State, but it's going to play itself out when y'all play Indiana at home.
All right, well, you guys have that on the record, 27-07. Make sure you clip that. Gemo says the Buckeyes are losing to Indiana on the road, so make sure that he hears that if it does happen. Gemo, we wanted to get you on here for a quick word before we get to the Buckeyes in regards to Mike Norvell. Just tell me a little bit about how much that guy stinks.
He sucks.
Who is going to be the next head coach at Florida State? Hello?
Gemo get kidnapped?
Mike Norvell's hitters came for Gemo. I think we lost. We'll have to check. Oh, you back?
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what happened.
I thought them Seminoles came for you.
No, they did. They should have. But if y'all had a real coach like my coach, Mario Cristobal laid down the blueprint for him. He said all recruits in his post-game conference after he beat the shit out of our biggest rival, he goes, all recruits, in-state or out-of-state, can now clearly see the trajectory of this program versus the trajectory of the other programs. He was throwing a jab at Mike Norvell. He was throwing a jab at Billy Napier. He was throwing a jab to Ryan Day.
Okay, well, before we get out of here, since Mario's out here jabbing like he's Floyd Mayweather, allegedly, one last question. If you guys are allegedly back, are you guys going to win the ACC this year?
We're going to win the ACC. We're going to be in the playoffs. We should have a bye. And I believe Miami Hurricanes is back. And I'm looking forward to the narratives of, you don't have Cam Ward no more. You're just going to be like Florida State.
And you just touched on my final question. You talk about the trajectory. Mario's telling everybody that the trajectory is clear. If the trajectory is so clear, Gemo. 2020 vision through my Buckeyes. Who's your quarterback next year?
That's a great question, Ron. As of right now, we have Emory Williams, but I believe truly. Hey, not too hard. That quarterback beat Clemson last year.
Man.
Last year.
Isn't that the same guy that lost to Rutgers?
Oh, no. That was Jakari Brown.
Oh, okay. And where was Emory?
Emory, he was hurt. So he got hurt in the Florida State game. He was going.
Mike Norvell, too physical for him. You got a guy that can't handle Mike Norvell, and that's going to be the leader of your future trajectory. Don't feel too clear to me.
Gmo, one more question for you. You like Prime at Florida State next season?
That would be a home run hire. That I'll be scared of that hire, to be honest with you. It's just like how I said in the chat. Prime going to Florida State is like Kirby Smart going to Georgia, or Mike Vrabel going to Ohio State, or Mario Cristobal going to Miami. That would be a home run hire, to be honest with you.
All right, there we go.
We appreciate you joining us, Gemo, the newest co-host of Buckeye Roast. We appreciate you tapping in. We got some Ohio State to talk about, but a big thank you for jumping on the show this morning.
Thank you. And shout out to Best Damn Media, and shout out to Buckeye Roast, and shout out to Buckeye BS.
Absolutely.
And go Hoosier Canes.
Oh my God, yeah, we had Gemo, a Hoosier Cane over here. He had to jump ship from rooting for Michigan to Indiana as his new team to take down the Buckeyes. Make sure you check out Gemo 50 and Big Homie over at Category Sports. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Q, not much time left because we're hiding and talking national to avoid talking about the Buckeyes, because that's what we do around here. We're scared to talk about Ohio State. We have five things that we can talk about before we get out of here, before we really do a deep dive into this Nebraska game tomorrow with our guy, Terry. 5 topics from Saturday's game. We could either keep the positive or we can do the negative. We have 5 topics, Q, and I will let you pick which one you want to discuss before we get out of here. We have serious issues at offensive tackle. Will Howard was solid, but that interception was horrific. What happened to the run game? Carnell Tate makes an appearance. Why do we still not have a kicker? Any one of those.
I will split us a half. Let's do the tackle problem, and let's do how impressed were you with the defensive pass rush on Saturday. So we'll split those, and then we will circle back on those tomorrow and much more for Ohio State. So let's start at tackle. Ron. Zimahowski was not great on Saturday, and then also gets hurt. Ryan Day said he was going to play him till the wheels fall off. And the offensive line, you can kind of shift there, was not really moving bodies. The run game was not good. Neither Trey nor Q averaged over 3 yards a carry. What do we do at tackle right now? Do you like this Donovan Jackson move over, or are you like, it's going to be, because Penn State has pass rush now. What is your prediction for Saturday from this offensive line?
Yeah, they're going to have to move Donovan Jackson. I said 2 weeks ago that after Donovan Jackson went down, I'm like, look at the PFF score. I'm like, Zen came in and had the lowest on offense by 15 points. So it may not have been coming across the screen, but clearly someone saw something that looked bad. And you saw the pressures, and Will was getting hit in that game. It's just, you know my saying about PFF. I don't know about the grades when they say someone's great, but when they say someone stinks, they know it. And they got it right. And you saw how bad of a game that Zen had this past week. And I feel like the Buckeye, you saw Doug Maurice losing his mind on the timeline talking about, well, if you knew if he wasn't in your best 5 or best 6, why is he on the field? And we talk about this, all the coaches know best, this and that. I said on ESPN Radio, I said on Bleacher Report, I said on the Buckeye Roast, I've said it everywhere. If the Buckeyes are going to replace the tackle, it's going to involve one of the 3 people that were already playing kicking out to guard, whether that's Austin Sareveld, Tegra Shabola, or Donovan Jackson. And that's going to be the most realistic, because every year we've heard with this Ryan Day team, we're going to play our top 6. They're going to rotate around. Our backup left tackle has been someone starting somewhere else on the team the entire Ryan Day era. So now you have this situation where it's clear that Donovan Jackson has to kick outside, and I feel like that's what we're going to end up seeing this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very surprised it wasn't somebody like Tegra, who you projected out as a tackle, to actually go out and move out there and try to play tackle with 3 weeks to prepare instead of like a week to prepare. But apparently they're like, no, they don't hold it down. And because I think you would have lost less letting Cervo go ahead and play guard. He was already doing it, moving Tegra over there, giving him kind of 3 weeks to prepare with the bye week. And even if he struggled, you felt like eventually he will play tackle. And eventually we'll have more guards in here. So that's kind of a tragedy because we don't have a tackle next year. So, I mean, somebody's got to do it. Now, with 1 week to prepare, that looks like a massive mistake because I don't know if Zen is going to be out, but it seems like that is not the answer. And now you've given yourself, what, 5 days, maybe 4, because you're not really going to practice hard on Friday to sort of prepare for this game on Saturday. And that Penn State pass rush is no joke. I don't quite get it if he was quite that bad during practice, but I mean, I guess we'll see on Saturday. Like I said, one thing, we won the game. That was the most important thing, survive. And you go to Saturday on Penn State, and that's pretty much the season. So yeah, I don't know where we're going to go there, but I'm sure we will touch on more tomorrow when Terry gets here. But I do want to ask, we gave Jim knows a lot of criticism. Pass rush was not there. Criticized Larry Johnson, all that. They tried some different things on Saturday. What did you think of the change-ups from Jim Knowles? He brought pressure. He brought safeties. He brought linebackers. Are you impressed with what you've seen? How do you feel about it? Would you grade it on 1 to 5 as far as the scheme change goes?
It's hard to judge after 1 week because it almost felt like a kitchen sink, like y'all are hungry? Here's some mashed potatoes, like type shit. Like here's a big old scoop, like allegedly. Like I'm just like, I need to see more of it. Like you do like to see the pressure, but like I need more of it. I saw Kenyatta Jackson out there significantly more, and it felt like he was making a lot of plays. And people have been saying for years that Kenyatta and Caden both need snaps, not only because they're talented enough, but also it keeps JTT and Jack fresh. So to see Kenyatta and Caden play as much as they did, I did like to see that. I like that Jim Knowles started to mix it up, but it's still, I don't know, bro. It just, something feels not right with this team. And it's like, I feel like a lot of fans felt that like everything was corrected and they bought into the hype going into Oregon, so much so that like you saw a lot of people talking on the timeline that, oh, this is the most confident I've been going into an Ohio State big time matchup in a long time. And then the Buckeyes go out there and lay an egg. And I feel like for a lot of people, it feels like, I don't want to get hurt again. I believed in this team before. I've convinced myself that these problems are fixable. But when we see the same problems present themselves every year and the changes don't really last till the end of the season. I mean, we saw mass rotations at the beginning of the year, and then we get to this point in the season and we're moving existing players on the field back to safety because we don't have the safety depth that we're ready for. We're moving another guy on the offensive line because we're already down a guy. And like, it's just like, I don't know at what point do you have to be like, I don't know, maybe we lied. Maybe this team, every year it's like, this is the team, this is the year. And now I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't know. I need to see consistently. And I don't even know how much of this schedule. I mean, we play Penn State this week. It's a top 5 matchup. It's obviously going to be a playoff team according to that bracketology that has Ohio State at 9. So, I mean, this is a good measuring stick, but it's kind of how much are you going to buy off of this? Because we've seen JTT turn into a Hall of Famer against Penn State and then disappear again later in the season. So I don't know how much we can read into this performance, but I feel like it's wait and see with this team because at this point, I don't know what team I'm going to get. I don't know what this offensive line is going to, because Donovan Jackson could kick out there and we're just going to see a hole somewhere else in the line. So I'm not sure until I see this team start to come together because they still have so many questions to answer. Also, when the fuck is the open tryouts for kicker? I know we said we're not going to talk about that, but bro, a fucking 42-yarder? All right.
I will say I will say a little positive before we get out of here. A big part of me expected Ohio, and I didn't say this on Friday, so maybe I should have. This is more of a gut feeling. I've seen a lot of teams this year lose a close game, lose a big time game, come out the next week and you're like, they're gonna abolish that, they're gonna look much better, they're gonna learn from their mistakes, and the next week they struggle. And then they start to play a little better. Georgia did it. Alabama did it. You just seen it from Texas. Ohio State has had their game where it's like we expected them, and Nebraska got embarrassed too. So they came out and had something to prove as well. But maybe this was a game where it's like, all right, that was not the team we expected after a bye week and all that. But Penn State on Saturday, maybe that's time where it's like, okay, they start to turn on. Because every other team has done that. So give Ohio State credit. Every
So
other
you
team.
think Ohio State's going to start looking like world beaters on the road with a new left tackle at Penn State?
Yeah, I did not say world. I don't expect them to go there like Georgia did at Texas. I don't say world beaters, but I expect this team to be like, okay, this team is kind of the team I expect to show up, and they beat Penn State on Saturday. I will put it to it. I think this was the tune-up week. The next week, despite a catastrophe on the offensive line, that you can't outdo that. So I don't know what you're going to do about that. I think a better team will show up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, no matter how down I get on this team, I'd never pick against the Buckeyes. I think my team's going to win bro, I haven't filled out an NCAA bracket without Duke winning the national championship
Oh my
in
God.
20 years. So like, it is what it is. I'm picking the Buckeyes, you know what I mean?
Part of the problem.
Till the wheels fall off. Hey, I've won more brackets picking Duke as the national championship than you would have picking Maryland. But that's a conversation for another day.
Had to go there. Okay.
Walked right into that one. But that's all I have for today. I mean, we have plenty more for today, but your boy has to get to work.
Yeah.
We have a packed show tomorrow. We will get started early with Terry because we have so much to talk about. Q, let the people know where they could find you when you're not watching Maryland basketball.
National Champs 2025. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Our guy, excuse me. All right, Mike Green with the super chat. Charles Green with the first chat. Doreen, also a member in here, in Gemo for calling in. Appreciate all y'all. Remember, like the video if you're on Twitter, like, retweet, all that good stuff in the community. Do the same thing. Remember, we are on audio. Ron, get us out of here.
Yeah, big shout out to our guy Ghost Celts from Germany. Appreciate you tuning into the show. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. You can find me here weekdays with my guy Q for the Buckeye Roast. Wednesdays in the Bleacher Report app at 5 p.m. with Chris Drew for the weekly Ohio State previews. Saturdays for the college football pregame show on the Menace Sports platform, and post games on the Juck on Bucks post game. And then, of course, the flagship Buckeye BS on Sundays. We are here 7 days a week. Make sure that you guys find us. We are everywhere. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And despite of the struggles and lack of kicker, it's always go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.